Okay, so let us start with the random variable and the expected value. So let us first of all write the definition for random variable. Give the heading. Random variable. A variable whose values are determined by outcomes of the sample space is called as a random variable. Suppose if I take an example of tossing of 3 coins. So the first thing that we will do is we will write the sample space for this. Now when we know that there are 3 coins to be tossed, so the sample space over here is going to have 8 outcomes in the sample space. So sometimes it becomes difficult for all of us to remember all the 8 outcomes by heart. So there is a very simple idea with the help of which you can remember all the 8 outcomes without actually by hearting that. See, what you do is write down H for 4 times. Then in the same 4 outcomes, write down 2 times H, 2 times T. Then in the same 4 outcomes, once again, write down 1 time H, 1 time T, again H, again T. So this 3H represents the outcomes on the first coin, second coin and the third coin. So together it is the one possibility in the tossing of 3 coins. So totally now 4 outcomes are already there with us. To get the remaining 4 outcomes, just replace H by T and T by H. So you will get this as 3 times T, TTH, THT and T double H. So now sample space has got 8 outcomes which are ready with us. Suppose if I define that X over here denotes number of heads when the 3 coins are tossed. So in that case, I observe each and every outcome. In the first outcome, I can see that there are 3 H values or 3 H outcomes. In the second, I can see 2 H and 1 T. So number of heads is 2. In the third one, HTH, 2 heads and 1 tail. In the fourth, there is 1 head only and there are 2 tails. In the fifth one, there are all tails. It means that number of heads is 0. In the next, there is only 1 head, again 1 head and again 2 heads. So in this case, all the numbers in the brackets that I have written are representing the number of heads. And number of heads is represented by X. So it means that the possible values for X are 0, 1, 2 and 3. So if these 0, 1, 2 and 3 are the possible values of X, we have obtained all these values of X from the sample space. So the variable whose outcomes are taken or obtained from the outcomes of the sample space, such a variable is called as a random variable. So it is very easy to remember it like this. Okay. Now the next thing that we need to know over here is the probabilities of these random variables. So let us make a small table. X and Px. So X possible values are 0, 1, 2 and 3. Now when we want to get the probability, we know that probability is always n of a upon n of s, where n of a is the number of favorable outcomes and n of s is the total number of outcomes. So n of s in all the case is obviously going to be 8 only, because total number of outcomes cannot change. Number of favorable outcomes, let us observe in the sample space. When I have 0 heads, I can see that there are all the 3 tails only one time. Therefore, number of favorable outcomes is 1. In the second case, when x is 1, I can see there are 3 outcomes which are telling me that there is only one head in it. So number of favorable outcomes is 3. When x is 2, there are again 3 outcomes over here, where I can see that there are 2 times heads. Therefore, again the value of probability of 2 will come out to be 3 by 8. In the last case, when there are 3 heads, only a single outcome is available. Therefore, again the probability comes out to be equal to 1 by 8. So now suppose if I take the total of all these values, you will get it as 8 upon 8, which is equal to 1, which tells us a very important property, that total probability has to always be equal to 1. So that is a very important property that we can use to solve some examples of our exercises. Now, after this, the next thing that comes over here is types of random variables. There are generally two types of random variables that we have. The discrete random variable, RV represents random variable over here, and the continuous random variable. Now, in case of a discrete random variable takes only integral values. That is, x belongs to I, positive, negative, both can be applicable over here. Even x can be 0. Whereas in case of the continuous random variable, we say that random variable takes all possible real values. So when we take real values, it means over here x belongs to the set of all real numbers, positive, negative, decimal, fraction, any kind of number is possible in case of a continuous random variable. When you talk about the discrete random variable, it says that it is taking integral values. It means the random variable has countable observations. Like for example, number of friends, number of roads in a locality, number of floors in a building, etc. When we talk about the continuous random variable, it takes measurable observations. What is meaning of measurable? For example, temperature of an area, weight of a person. We cannot count the weight or we cannot count the temperature. We have to measure it. So temperature, weight, height, etc. These are all the measurable, therefore they are all continuous random variables. Now let us first of all discuss about the discrete random variable. Probability distribution of a discrete random variable is called probability mass function. And for any probability distribution to be a probability mass function, there are some conditions that need to be satisfied. Very basic conditions that we already know from our smaller levels, smaller classes. The first is that summation of px, that is total probability, is always equal to 1. Point number 2 is that px has to always be between 0 and 1. Probability cannot be lesser than 0, that is it cannot be negative, or it cannot be greater than the value 1. So these are the two simple conditions for a probability distribution to be a PMF. We call probability mass function as PMF. So if you observe this above example 0, 1, 2 and 3, these all values of x, they are integer numbers, and all these values of px is between 0 and 1, as well as the total probability of px is definitely equal to 1. So I can say that this entire table altogether is actually representing a PMF. Point number 2 that you have is called as the continuous random variable. In case of a continuous random variable, we say that the probability distribution is called probability density function PDF. The only difference that you have to remember between PMF and PDF is that in case of a PMF, we write summation of px over the given values of x. Over here, we write it as integration of fx dx over the given values of x, comes out to be equal to 1. Over here, in case of PMF, px also represents probabilities. In case of a PDF, fx represents probabilities. It is just a different notation that we are using just to avoid the confusion. Otherwise, px and fx, they are both the representatives of the probability only. There is nothing different in that. Number 2, similar to the above case, here we had told 0 less than px less than 1. Here I will say it is 0 lesser than fx lesser than 1. It is generally based on the integration of the given probability function that is given in the question. So after this, the next thing that we have is the expected value and variance of a random variable. So let us understand what we have to do in this. Come on. From your previous chapters, you have the knowledge of mean in the case when you are given the information about x and f. Suppose if the observations are 10, 20, 30, along with the corresponding frequency values 3, 10 and 7. Suppose if this kind of observations are given to you. If you want to find the value of mean, you say that it is x bar, which is summation of fx upon summation of f. So when you want to find out the summation of fx, you make a small column of f into x, 10 into 3, 20 into 10, 30 into 7. We multiply all these numbers and take the total of summation fx from here and take the total of f, that is going to give you summation f. And when you substitute and divide it, you will get the required value of x bar. That is what we always do when you are given this kind of a data over here. A similar kind of observations or similar kind of data is available to us in the above example that we had seen. I'll just take down this same data once again so that we can understand how to calculate the expected value over here. So the observations were x and px, 0, 1, 2 and 3, 1 by 8, 3 by 8, 3 by 8 and 1 by 8. So just like fx, we will make a column x multiplied by the px. So 0 into 1 by 8 is going to give me 0. 1 into 3 by 8 is going to give me 3 by 8. 2 into 3 by 8 will be equal to 6 by 8. And 3 into 1 by 8 will give you 3 by 8. Then if I take the total of these both columns, I can see that summation of px is equal to 1 and summation of xpx comes out to be equal to 12 by 8. So according to this formula that you have over here for the mean, it says it is summation of fx upon summation of f. If I apply the same formula over here, I can say that mean is equal to summation of x into px divided by summation of px. But guys, the total of probability is always equal to 1, that is for sure. So in each and every sum again and again, we won't need to divide that by summation of px because total is always going to be 1. And if the denominator is 1, we can completely ignore that in the denominator. So we just write the formula as summation of x into px. In case of this, the random variable, in case of normal variable, this is the notation for the mean as x bar. Whereas in case of the random variable, the notation for the mean is expected value of x. So that is the first formula that we need to remember over here. Expected value of x, which is equal to summation of x into px. Now the next point over there is talking about the variance. So let us see what we can do about the variance. Now when I want to find the variance in this particular case, in case of a normal variable, we make a column fx square, and I had told you in the previous lectures fx square is actually fx multiplied by x. So when you multiply x and fx, you will get your required last column over here. So after taking the totals of all these values, you will get this as summation of fx square, and then your variance formula is given by summation of fx square upon summation f minus x bar square. So if I want to apply the similar formula over here, I can say that variance is summation of x square into px upon summation of px minus x bar. X bar over here is the mean, which is nothing but expected value of x, the whole square. This is already 1, so we don't need to write this again and again. So I can say it is summation of x square into px minus the expected value of x, the whole square. Now, in order to get x square into px summation, I need to make a column for x square into px. So when I want to make the column for x square into px, 0 into 0, that will give me 0. 1 into 3 by 8, that is going to give you 3 by 8. 2 into 6 by 8, that is 12 by 8. Do not reduce it, keep it as it is for now. 3 into 3 by 8 is giving me 9 by 8. If I take the total of all these values, it will come out to be equal to 24 upon 8, which is equal to your summation of x square into px. So in this case, I have a special notation which is called as expected value of x square summation x square px. Expected value of x is e bracket x. This over here is called as expected value of x square, which is e of x square. It is very easy for you to identify because when you multiply with x and px, it is expected value of x. When you multiply x square and px, it will be called as expected value of x square. So this summation of x square px will now be replaced by e of x the whole square. So you get a very easy formula. Variance is equal to expected value of x square minus the expected value of x, the whole square of that. Okay, so let us see what we get in this particular case, in this example. So over here, summation of x into px is 12 upon 8. Which itself is the expected value of x. So I can directly say that expected value of x is equal to 12 upon 8. Summation of x square into px is given by 24 upon 8, as I can see. But we know that 24 over 8 is equal to 3. So I get directly there expected value of x square is equal to 3. So I can get variance of x as expected value of x square minus the expected value of x the whole square, which is equal to 3 minus 12 upon 8 the whole square, which is equal to 3 minus, if you reduce these both 12 and 8 by 4, you will get this as 3 by 2, and the square of that will give me actually 9 upon 4. So when I take LCM, I will get this is equal to 12 minus 9 whole upon 4, which gives me 3 by 4 is equal to the variance of x. Then the next point that we have is different notations for variance of x, or probably we can say that different ways in which the variance of x can be represented. We just have to remember the ways of writing the formulas, but actually the only formula that you will have to apply in your examples is this. Okay, so what are the different ways? I can say that variance of x is actually e of x minus x bar the whole square. It can written as expected value of x minus mu the whole square. It can also be written as expected value of x minus e of x the whole square. So these are different notations for writing the formula, but in general, when you are calculating the problems or the variance, the only formula that we will remember and apply is this, our basic formula that we just now saw in the above example. This will only be applied in all the examples, but yeah, this we have to remember for our MCQ, the proper identification of the MCQ, whether which is correct and which is wrong. So we need to remember all these different notations. After this, the next thing that you have is the properties of expected value E of x. There are some very simple properties that we have over here. The first one that you have, expected value of a constant. Let me write it as expected value of k is always equal to the same constant k. There is no change in the value of expectation of a constant. It remains the same. Number 2, expected value of k into x. Now this time this k over here is actually called as the coefficient. Whenever we come across a coefficient, what we do is we just take this coefficient outside the notation of e of x and we write it like this: k times expected value of x. Number 3, expected value of x plus y is always equal to expected value of x plus the expected value of y. If we have a minus sign in between, then just we will subtract the expected value of each variable, considering that x and y are two different variables over here. And the last is a very important point. Expected value of x into y is obviously expected value of x into expected value of y. But this is the condition for two random variables to be independent of each other. Now guys, over here don't get confused, because there are many students who get confused between the independence of random variable and independence of events. Events are different, random variables are different. Events come under the probabilities, and random variable, the independence of random variable comes when you're talking about the actual random variables over here. So independence of random variable is obtained with the help of expected value, whereas independence of events is the condition that we have seen, probability of A intersection B, or maybe you can come across the notation probability of AB. The meaning is the same, and the formula or the condition that we had seen was P of A into P of B, that is probability A into probability B. Probabilities of A and B will help us to get independence of events. Expected values will help us to get the independence of the random variables.